I'm going to do an insight video today, and I was thinking about creation yesterday. I've been thinking about creation a lot lately. Pure creation, pure consciousness. And I was thinking about creation and how you integrate it. And as I was starting to connect into and like tune into like the vibration, the frequency, I was talking about like sensing and feelings, and how like feelings and senses are like part of the first sort of expression of like consciousness and the expression of creation. And I was sort of like integrating sort of like a feeling of like bliss and a feeling of peace, and I was feeling of like abundance, because like abundance when we look at it like abundance in like consciousness, we start to know that abundance covers many different things. It's not just like one thing. It's not about like wealth. It's about like health. It's about well-being. It's about many things. um, and like consciousness in a sense of like abundance is known that energy is always there, it's always available, that you can access it any time, and like creation is available at any time. Abundance is also like related and connected to creation. And they were sort of like guiding me, or I was being guided to think about like senses and feelings. And I've had this a couple of times lately, where like consciousness and creation. So you start off with like maybe like a thought, or like, or you say like a thought, or you have a feeling, or your mind sort of opening up to become like this channel to start to receive the energy, and you end up like in a space, and you end up in a space where like the energy is starting to sort of like integrate, or like the consciousness is starting to like integrate within your within your energy, within your frequency. And then you start to sort of like feel something. You start to get a sense or feel what does abundance feel like, what does like peace or bliss feel like. And when you start to sort of like, or infinite vibrations, and when you start to feel that, then what you start to do is that feeling is the starting at or the access or point of like consciousness. And then what you do is you integrate it within your physical body. But the integration is sort of like it's this feeling you get where the energy starts to vibrate, and your consciousness starts to expand. And then when that expands, you sort of like, you step into that feeling, you step into that vibration, which is like a sense or a feeling. And that's like the first step to like creation, the creation of reality. And what you're doing is you're accessing like creation from the sixth dimension. And then it's sort of like the energetic dimension is like the fifth dimension, which is very much like this heaven on earth, which is connected to like creation as well. And then you're accessing like the fourth dimension, where you understand like transformation is available and transmutation is available in states of being. So then you step into that energy as well, or you consciously sort of like align with that energy. And then like the 3D reality, which is like the physical reality, the out there reality, that's then aligned with that conscious thought from that infinite, that sort of like vibration, that frequency that's come from like the sixth dimension, which is the I am, well, we are creation and we are creators. And I was in that vibration, in that frequency. And it's like you vibrate it, you sense it, and as you feel it and sense it, that's the first step to expressing creation. That so that you see then like the sixth, fifth, fourth, third dimension are all one dimension, or one vibration, one frequency, that are aligned. They're not separate, and they're in that sort of like infinite moment. And you step into it, or you feel it, or you sense it, and that's the first step to creation. So like your reality, you see it sort of being sort of created in that moment. And it was interesting sort of like to feel that sense in it. And like for a long time, I'm like a clairsentient, which is all very much around like sensing and feeling. And that's how I've always sort of like felt things, and received it, information, and received like wisdom and insight. But it's not even like wisdom and insight. It's like I use the word wisdom and insight, but it's how I've always received creation and consciousness. And this is the big shift at the moment with the sixth dimension, from many different things for many of us, like as we start to go through like and consciously change, because we're not necessarily using words like wisdom or insight anymore. We're knowing that pure consciousness and pure creation is available. So it's not even like, the labels that we used before within like spiritual realities, like even like manifestation is a word we use. And the shift in consciousness And the shift in awareness is moved past that, because it's not even like manifestation anymore. We always like even the notion of manifestation. You're trying to get something. You're trying to manifest something. As the shift to the sixth dimension doesn't talk about that. It talks about pure consciousness and pure creation and source energy, and it's available, and it's available there all the time. So you don't need to manifest something. You just have to create it, and you create it through consciousness. So it's not even like manifestation. You're not trying to get somewhere. You've already there. You already have that access to that energy, that consciousness, and everything within the realities and the higher, infinite dimensions. I'm not going to say higher because that's not a word I like to use neither, but infinite dimensions. Because higher and lower again mean like something's one's greater than the other. It's not. In the infinite dimensions, it's like all is one, and everything is one. So again, it's that shift, and the sixth dimension is very much around this. There is no separation. There is only one. There's just pure consciousness, creation, and source energy, and we're all source. But this sense and this feeling is like it's like a conscious vibrational frequency that you can access, and it's like the expression. It's like your soul's expressing and integrating within this reality. But it's also a reflection of the multidimensional self, because the multidimensional self is anchored in, or is connected consciously to the sixth dimension, the fifth dimension, the fourth dimension, the third dimension, and it sort of, and it, you start to realize that they're all working in harmony. They're all working as one, and you start to see that there's no separation between these multidimensional frequencies and these multidimensional realities and these multidimensional conscious frequencies, and you start to realize that everything is just working as one. And like again, this notion of we are creation and we are creators, and the universe, or not the universe, but it's not even the universe. Again, I don't even like to use the word universe now. I like to use the word creation, because creation is greater. It's this ever expanding, evolving frequency. So it's not even like any kind of label, in a sense. You know, you want the infinite, you want creation, you want these are the infinite like conscious vibration frequencies. So it's like it's not sort of like being limited in like the universe, or limited in like manifestation, or limited in anything else. It's beyond limitation, and this is a shift of the sixth dimension that's coming through. This into sixth dimension, and this is what the consciousness and the vibrational frequency has shifted and changed within our awareness. I'm not even like, you know, when I look at guides now, or I look at beings that are working with us, collectives and councils, they're a state of consciousness, and we are connected to those states of consciousness. So it's like we're not separate. We're one vibration. We're one frequency. Always. There's no separation, and this is what we know when we're on those levels, or those conscious dimensions, or those infinite dimensions. When we're not in this human form, we know this. We've always known this. So it's like this massive shift at the moment, where you start to see that, you know, when you consciously, when you open up your energy or your consciousness to creation and that frequency, then you start to then see that everything is available and nothing is separate, and everything is always there, and all you have to do is remain conscious and remain open as this channel, as this, because we're all channels. We're all channels, and we're all multidimensional beings, and we're all that because we all have access to these many different frequencies. And when you talk about like consciousness within infinite dimensions and realities, there's many levels of consciousness, but consciousness isn't one thing. It's everything, and it's always evolving, and it's always expanding. As we are always evolving, and we're always expanding. We're never sort of like stuck, and we're never sort of like just here. We're always, and as we expand, and as our consciousness expands, and as we start linking more to creation and the infinite realities and dimensions of creation, of source energy, then these infinite frequencies start to open up. And this is what's going on for many of us. We're becoming these channels for these many different frequencies, these many different sort of dimensional experience of consciousness and creation. And this is the sixth dimension. The sixth dimension is, you know, when you access that, then you align it with the fifth, the fourth, the third. So like I said, the sixth dimension is we are creation and we are creators, and we are connected, or we are aligned and unified with source energy, which is the the infinite energy of all creation, of all consciousness, of all dimensions, of all realities. And when we can open up our energy as a channel to that, then we start to see that the fifth dimension is available, the fourth dimension is available, and the third dimension is available. But they're all working in perfect unity. They're working in perfect unison and harmony, and they're always working. Creation is always working, is always available, and is working through us, as us, and for us. So there's no separation, and there's no limitation. The limitation is the illusion. The separation is the illusion. It's always been the illusion. And this is again stepping into self-mastery. But self-mastery is a word again. It's like a label, but it's more sort of like expressing, like and living like as a channel, and living consciously, and living and aligning with creation. You know, it's not even like self-mastery anymore. It's just creation. We are creators, and we are creation, and we are now expressing, and we are now consciously expressing with awareness that we are creation, and creation is us, and that we are that we are everything, and everything is us. So it's not even like the universe anymore, because the universe again is framing something as being something, you know, as it ends in that sense, but it doesn't. Creation is always evolving and always expanding, and the sixth dimension teaches us this. Sixth dimension gives us the consciousness, the conscious awareness. And I don't even like the word teacher. I like the word guide, because I feel we're all guides, and we're all being guided. So there's many things that are shifting in my consciousness around sort of like, you know, I grew up as like within spiritual churches, and I grew up like working as like a healer. You know, I was doing art, psychic art at one stage, or do like drawing guides and stuff, and all of that. You know, when I was in that kind of like conscious awareness, there was always like labels, there was always like limitation, there was always sort of certain ways to do things. But creation isn't that. Creation is this infinite dimensional frequency and reality that can be accessed, and we're all available. We're all sort of connected and aligned with that consciousness. But it's also again sort of taught me about like many different sort of like, even the notion of like looking around at different people on different spiritual paths. They're not disconnected. They're not separate. They're all part of one. As within, like, you know, creation. Creation is this constant vibration of like many different things, you know, vibrating and existing you know, in one moment, in one frequency of different levels of consciousness. You know, the levels of consciousness are infinite, as well as the dimensions are in different realities and dimensions and consciousness. There's many different sort of like levels, but levels don't again mean don't that levels are not separate. When I say levels, I mean that they're frequencies, really. They're frequencies of consciousness. There's not even levels, because there's no levels to our consciousness. There's no levels to creation. It's just infinite. It's just always ever expanding and ever evolving, and we're always ever expanding and ever evolving. So there's no limitation. So know that, you know, whatever you want to create is there. You have to, you know, be aware of it, and then sense it, and then step into it, and then that's the first step of creation, like I said. So it comes from the sixth dimension. We are creation, we are creators, and that sixth dimension consciousness comes in to tell you are creator, and you are creation. And then the fifth dimension is feeling the energetic vibrations and frequencies that are available, the infinite vibrations and frequencies that you can then sort of like feel, align with. And the fourth dimension then transforms, starts to integrate that reality into like this reality that's, you know, the 3D reality. The fourth dimension integrates it, so you know that you can transform, you can shift anything, you can align it, because consciousness in creation is always available. And then the third dimension is the physical experience of the reality that you've created, and it's the out there reality. But it's not out there, because it's the consciousness in creation is within you. It can't be out there, because you are consciousness, you are creation, and it's the awareness of that, it's the anchoring into it, it's the integration of it. And this is the big shift at the moment that's going on for many of us, as we're starting to starting to express creation and consciousness in its pure form. But it's also then it's understanding how to align it with the other dimensional realities and frequencies that are available, and how we align those to bring those in harmony, so we start to create and express in a more infinite conscious way with creation. And obviously this is our souls expressing this. Our soul is like a vessel that connects us to these multi-dimensional realities and these multi-dimensional frequencies of consciousness and creation. So there's a lot going on for many of us at the moment as we start to integrate and align with it. And that's the insight for today. I'm not going to go into it much because it gets very expansive, gets very big. So have a great day. Please comment, please like, please subscribe, share. Any questions, please pose them. This is what we are. We're all guides for each other. So posing questions allow you to pose a question maybe you've got, and then if between us we can access consciousness and creation to bring awareness to your reality, to your reality. So have a great day, and that's the insight for today.